0355.
I've asked that question earlier. I've asked the question earlier on about whether you're counting the numbers of your fasts and do you count the hours daily or not. I'd love to hear from you on that. So message me. The best way is a WhatsApp 061 766 0355. Do you count your fast on a day-to-day basis, getting up from 1 to 30? Or after the first day, it just doesn't matter. You just become this machine. I'd just love to know, or what actually happens to you. I'll tell you what, we need to count the cost of what's going on in Cape Town. You may have heard about it yesterday, a fire on the slopes of Table Mountain affecting a restaurant first, I understand, then the University of Cape Town, then the areas close to that. And it's not done yet. There's big issues around it. So let's get someone who's closer to the action to give us an eyewitness news report on that one. With me, Sawmiet Moos, who's a Western Cape-based journalist. Sawmiet, assalamu alaikum, good chatting to you.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Likewise, nice chatting to the people up north this morning as well from a windy, overcast and smoky mother city.
Well, there you are. So you're in your car now. Where are you? I mean, give me the suburb.
Okay, so I'm in the southern suburbs currently. I've just headed home to collect some batteries and those kind of things and heading back towards the area where the fire is. Look, the wind has picked up quite considerably. We're looking at about a 30-kilometer southeast, I think, that we're sitting with at the moment. It's overcast still, and the crews are having their hands full this morning, especially along the highway heading towards the CBD and the Vredehoek area. For those who know, Vredehoek is actually the new name for the area of District 6. So the area just up the slopes there, that's where the fire has spread to now.
So I'm trying to imagine myself, because I have lots of family in warmer estates. So that means I would be looking up that mountain there. Is that right? Because that empty tract of land at District 6 going up.
That is 100% correct. So everything to your left from there until the Rondebosch Mowbray area, that is the area that's affected by the fire.
Yeah, wow. So let's talk about the effect. I mean, just how bad is it? Can you give us a rolling score on this?
Look, if we must score how bad it is from 1 to 10, it's definitely a 10 looking at the loss that has taken place, specifically for the academic fraternity or sector. UCT has had a library with a number of very important and valuable artifacts that was stored there. That has burnt to the ground. We don't know the exact amount or the exact things that is burnt down, because yesterday the fire department literally had 10 vehicles on site at the UCT trying to prevent it from spreading into some of the lab areas, but already the damage was done to the area of the library and a number of other faculties or buildings housing different faculties.
And I mean, do we take it? I understand that particular library houses mainly African literature and African studies, I understand. I mean, is that true? And is it damaged as in that's irreparable? That's done, it's gone, destroyed?
Yeah, look, the building has burnt. We do know that there are parts of the building that wasn't gutted entirely. But there is obviously damage to those artifacts, and yes, there was a number of dictionaries that people spoke of that were first copies or first editions that was housed there, and then also looking at the after effects of the fire, because how long now before the students can return to campus? It was a total mess yesterday, but the buildings literally burned from the roof down. So what happened was embers from the fire blew over onto the university precinct. And it burnt the ivy. You know, UCT is very much known for the ivy that's on the side of the buildings. And because of the time of the year we're in, a lot of it is dry in between. So that burnt up into the rafters of the buildings, and the buildings basically burnt from the top down. That made it much harder for people, or rather for the fire department, to manage the flames, because to get there they needed to use very high pressure hoses. They also had to use reach trucks and lift trucks, which then also had a problem getting to the scene because of the access, the limitations, getting close to those buildings, considering the UCT is a very, very old building, and a lot of the alleys and roads weren't designed to think that you'd need to ever get a reach truck or a 12 meter long vehicle into that area. So that did hamper the rescue or the firefighting ability quite a bit yesterday.
And I understand that, I mean, many of the students who in res in particular, one are students who actually physically attend classes, but the others in res, I mean, they had to be evacuated yesterday, right? Any thoughts on what's happened to them? I mean, where are they now? What has been the support plan for them?
Literally, the humanity in the Cape Townians have come out. Last night, there was a long message going around offering people accommodation from members of the public saying, this is my address, call me. I have accommodation for 2 females with meals for as long as it would take for you to need that. And I've got bunk beds, I've got mattresses. But what the UCT has done is they've negotiated with a hotel group. To obviously there's no tourists in the city at the moment, so the hotels are standing empty. It's real estate that's available for this kind of thing right now. And yes, they have moved a lot of them into these hotel areas. Gift of the Givers have last night they prepared 4,000 warm meals catering for everybody. They made vegan akni. They had some or rather vegetarian akni.
I think we've just lost Sawmiet Moos when he spoke about acne during the fasting month of Ramadan. So maybe there's just a lesson in that. Hopefully we'll connect with him. You see the acne thing caused the problem. Yeah, go on.
Maybe the editor senses us when we talk about food at 20 past 8.
Well, there you are. All right. So they provided food support, and I understand that's going to be ongoing, right?
Yes, they've effectively committed to providing food for the next 7 days, and that is ongoing. The students now, some of them had to be writing, some of them have offered to go, have been offered to, if they are within a driving distance of the Cape, to go home. But obviously there's also still a lot of uncertainty because many people lost everything. It was a matter of evacuating within 2 to 3 minutes after getting the message that you must leave. And that's basically where the students are at. It's uncertain. They are in hotels, and some of them are with family members or friends in the Western Cape area.
Well, I mean, looking at the pictures, I can tell you, I mean, it depends where you take these pictures, but some of them I've seen, it gives the impression when you think of a volcanic eruption, and that volcano erupting and there's a bit of lava on the top. That's how frightening it is. Now, I know it's not that, okay, but that's what it looks like in some of the images, right? Keep us up to date. You made the point about the southeast sort of rising once again overnight, which is a huge problem because the winds fan the flames. Has the fire been put out, or is it still ongoing right now?
No. The fire has not been put out this morning. Roughly about an hour ago, people were asked to be ready for evacuation in an area called Vredehoek, as well as the upper side of the CBD area where the residential areas are. They've been given that. But currently, from people that I've spoken to who are out in the area, there is a lot of urgency because there's smoke everywhere. Everything smells like smoke. I'm 6 or 7 kilometers from where the fire was yesterday, and everything in my place smells like smoke because that's just how dense the smoke was yesterday. And for a moment yesterday afternoon, when the sun was setting along the western skyline, you could literally believe that this is something out of a movie. Helicopters flying, the sun blood red because of the haze coming up from the smoke, and literally those the choppers were working non-stop, water bombing buildings, which is not a normal thing when it comes to fires. It's not normal for choppers to be dropping water on buildings and homes and wetting areas down, but a superb job, I must say, done by the emergency services here in the Western Cape to prevent the fire from spreading into the suburbs, because within the space of 5 minutes, I was on the side of the mountain when the fire was burning on the mountain, and one of the fire volunteers came running down to us and said, please leave because the fire is coming down, thinking she's speaking about the fire behind her that we were walking toward. Within 2 minutes where we were walking, literally balls of flames came through the tops of the trees. So, a lot of the trees are dry, and the soil, there's not really soil on the side of the mountain. It's all dry sticks and twigs and pine cones and those kind of things. And that made the fire literally jump the M3 and onto the top of Mostard's Mill. Very, very old famous windmill that's standing on the side of the road. And that's basically when things, for lack of a better term, went pear-shaped, and then houses were affected, roofs started burning, people lost the fronts of their homes that were the facades made of wood. Those kind of things were burning. But a lot of superb efforts from the emergency services, who at one point had just about 150 personnel deployed just to that area for the duration of the afternoon. And then also there were some shack fires out along the N2 yesterday, and then last night more fires was set. Basically, there are reports of 3 people that were seen lighting a fire on the opposite side of the mountain. And one of them has been, according to reports that we've received, we haven't received an official correspondence from the police, but from what reports we've received from colleagues that were on the ground, is that the people were arrested, or one person was arrested for that.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just talk about that part. I mean, so I've heard conflicting views. Was there arson on not at the UCT, but actually on the slopes of the mountain? That means a deliberate act, or is this something that just happened, which often happens on that mountain, right?
The reality is that there's a number of vagrants and informal groups of people that live in the mountain purely because they don't have anywhere to go. Initially, the report was that a homeless person made a fire, and the fire went out of control. It burned the restaurant, and that then got fanned around Rhodes Memorial down towards UCT and into the Rondebosch area. So if I can give you an idea, Ashraf, I looked at the mountain and I saw a tunnel of smoke coming up. 30 minutes later, I couldn't see the mountain. That's how quick, from exactly the same space. And it was not even very windy yesterday. It wasn't your typical fire kind of weather in the mother city. It was just very, very hot yesterday, but it wasn't your normal wind-swept kind of fire alert, dry conditions that you'd normally kind of look out for fires and vegetation fires and so on.
Yeah. Okay. What's the mood like amongst the citizens of Cape Town? I mean, to use a ridiculously offside word, I mean, is there gloom? Is there a sense of gloom amongst the smoke?
If you look out amongst what you see physically, yes, there's gloom. But I think what is heartwarming to everybody is that everybody's stepping up. In Rondebosch yesterday, for example, people that were in the area that are part of the neighborhood watch, people came from other areas to assist, family came to assist. I met a designer yesterday that, because of COVID, is sitting with over 100 wedding dresses in her house near to the fire. She called on her friends and family, and they came and assisted her in emptying that out. So there is that kind of togetherness and that kind of, look, we're all in this together. We might as well get through it, and we must see where and how we can help each other. And that's a good feeling. What is not a good feeling is this talks of you hearing that this fire could have been an act of arson, because then it's a totally different thing. If it's a natural thing, it was one poor guy warming his food in the morning or making a fire to keep warm, that's a totally different thing. That's humans trying to get along. But if people are deliberately going out there to break things down and burn things, then the mood definitely on the ground will change. Yeah, and a lot of anger will come around, because obviously the mill is a landmark.
Absolutely.
It's been there for hundreds of years.
Sawmiet, before I let you go, so there's smoke. I understand. I mean, you made the point. I mean, you could smell the thick plume of smoke from wherever you are, even like a good few kilometers away. But certainly the suburbs, residential suburbs closest to the mountain where the fire is still burning, that smoke, is there a health risk, not because of the fire, but because of the smoke that may affect them in terms of their health? I mean, has that been an issue so far?
Yeah. Ashraf, the people that have chest problems have been advised to leave the area. or to up their medication, people with asthma and other chest complications, they've been asked to leave the area or not go outside, not go directly into the smoke. And also, a lot of people have been treated for smoke inhalation, specifically the first responders or the the firemen and the women that were out on the front lines yesterday. So that's kind of like the health risk that you have. Many people with allergies have been complaining of dry eyes and burning eyes. A lot of my colleagues, including myself, last night you could feel it immediately on the ground. You're filled with adrenaline, you're covering the story, you're out there, but you don't really feel the effects of the fire on your body. But basically, the reason that people are feeling it is because they're out there, they're trying to see it, and we are not people who are generally exposed to fires all the time, or fires like this. The fires we are exposed to normally is like a braai or a fire we make to keep warm in our homes. But this is something different, something very, very different, Ashraf.
Okay. So, Sawmiet, let's leave it at that. I pray you're going to be fine, and certainly your family and the entire community okay. of the people of Cape Town. Inshallah, let's hope so. But certainly keep us up to date on the this is like an apocalypse now type of visuals, as Sawmiet has said. Just think about that, helicopters and other things, sort of spraying water from the top to try and prevent buildings from burning out completely. It is a huge story. We'll talk about that even further. There's updates from what the Givers may be doing as well. In fact, we'll also chat, to bring it back to the issues of COVID, we'll chat to Dr. Ridwan Suleiman with his weekly update that he does in terms of what the numbers are telling us in terms of where the COVID infections in South Africa are going. We'll do all of that in a moment.